All right, welcome to another episode of the Couch Coaches podcast where we talk about everything going on in sports, and it is very, very football heavy. So we are going to jump right into it, talking about the beautiful win in the, some would say, wonderful state of Florida. Brother Bill, please take us through your thoughts of the Niners' uncontested, just absolute domination, not even a close game, 49ers win against Tampa.
Yeah, I think the 49ers did what they had to do, and that's just win the game. Their defense played better than I expected, and I only say that because even though they were coming off of a bye, they tend to struggle when they have to travel east and it's an early start for some reason. And that's not just the Niners. It just seems like West Coast teams, when they have to travel east and it's an early start, it just makes for a tough game. And so defense played well. You take away that muffed punt and the three missed field goals, then the Niners would have won going away. But that's part of the game. But even with all of that, McCaffrey did what I expected him to do and how he performed. Um, Brock deserved the game ball for the way he played the entire game. And even when the Niners were trailing in the fourth quarter, to lead them on a drive to retake the lead, and then that last drive, the game-winning field goal. For the naysayers who still don't think that, Brock, I'm not going to say elite, he is he is a good quarterback. And at some point, other than having to win the Super Bowl, which to me shouldn't be the requirement just to prove you're good, I think he's demonstrated that he's a good quarterback. That's all.
Deacon Hill.
Woo, boy, you 49er fans. I love it. I love it, boy. You guys always see the bright side of everything, that silver lining. You guys got it, boy. But you guys are in trouble, man. You guys ain't going nowhere. I mean, you guys got out of there by the skin of your teeth. You got your doggone Debo Sandals over there beating up your doggone long snapper, trying to strangle him on the sideline. And I mean, and the poor kicker, I thought he was going to have to take a bus back to California. I didn't think he was going to be able to get back on the plane with you guys. He had lucked up and got the last kick to get you guys, get the win. But yeah, you guys are just treading water. So if you're happy with that, I mean, keep on smiling about it.
Hey, Greg, what was the score of the game? Who won the game?
I,
What do we say? That's all that matters, whether you win by
Bill,
one or
did I see
50.
a quote? Did I see a quote from you? I'm too old for this. Oh my goodness, boy! You got, like I say, take
A
it
win
while
is a win.
there you go. What you guys are 5-4 now, so hey,
5-4 headed to six
Hmm.
and four. Yep.
okay, just
I will
keep
say,
on.
that whole Debo thing was pretty wild because I would think so. Obviously, Moody's a heady kicker. It took him a while to get comfortable last year, even off of coming off. I mean, he was kicking in the biggest games in college. Took him a while to get comfortable, and he was humming at the end of the year. It's his first game back. I'm sure his ankle does not feel good still. High ankle sprain's no joke. But to yell at him, like whatever he said lock in. I don't know if those were the exact words. I'm guessing maybe not. But to go up to a kicker who's missed 3 times and tell him to lock in, knowing he will probably have to kick again, that could just have gone absolutely the wrong way with him doing that. Because
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen that before.
And here's the thing. And it's not like it. See, here's the thing. It's not like it doesn't happen. It's just it's not like it. Come on. Let's not be
Look,
that naive.
Joe just said he never saw that before. Tell me when have you saw that? A
Just
guy.
because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. That's my point. Just because the cameras are on and we as fans don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'll tell you this, Bill. It doesn't happen during the game. The cameras are always rolling on game day, so it might happen in practice, but it does not happen at a game. No, it don't happen.
Sure it
I
does.
do remember there was that famous press conference where it didn't happen in the game, but where the kicker for the Colts was saying something, and Peyton was like, "Why does anybody listen to this stupid kicker? He needs to kick a field goal and this be quiet." But that was like 15 years ago. So
Yeah, Banderjack. Yeah, yeah.
I
that was
remember that.
that was
But
pretty.
yeah, on the sideline, everything is on camera, bro. If you do it, it's gonna be caught. So you don't go attacking no one.
I'm not condoning what
Not the
Debo.
classy 49ers. That's not the 49er way.
True,
I'm
it is
not
not.
condoning what Debo did, and he even, said it afterwards, and they talked, after the game, and what do you say? It made for a happy plane ride home. Now the team is now it's going to be get ready for Seattle, and he starts stringing some wins together because that's what the Niners do every season. The Niners under Shanahan have very successful November and Decembers.
Yeah,
So
I did.
they'll have to do it again with the depleted defense. That's my concern is that defense still.
Well, Gino sucks against the Niners, which is nice. But our defense did play. I mean, Baker was doing very, very well against a very strong defense the weekend before, which is why I was concerned. And I mean, it would have been a much different game if Moody was making all the field goals, but we did kind of keep him contained better, except for that man, that stiff arm that he gave Bosa. I was like, Bosa, bro, pull his arm off or something. What are you?
Yeah,
You can't let Baker. What did Baker's? Oh my god! I was watching that going. This is unbelievable that he's keeping him at arm's length and then was still able to get the ball out. That was a wild play.
that was a play that was a forget the making the field goal. That was to me the play of that and the McCaffrey catch. But yeah, that was like I'm thinking, okay, that's going to be the play that we remember when we lose this game. I
Yeah,
could almost see that coming.
that's 100% what if when he got that I was like, oh my god, we're gonna lose this game.
Yeah, but
Oh,
nope, but
thank you.
nope.
And we got
Greg,
Seattle,
our
which is
defense
which is
does what
great
they
for us.
do, right, Greg?
Say that again.
Our defense does what they do and just hold on by the skin of their teeth, right?
No,
Crickets.
no comment on any of that.
Hey, it's a W. It's a W.
It's a
It's a
W.
W.
McCaffrey got through the whole
Hey,
game
but
healthy. Moody made the
just look
okay.
out for those Cardinals. That little quarterback that Joe likes to hate on. He's playing some ball over there.
Well, it was against the Jets, and the Jets
I
are
was gonna say, come
the
on,
biggest
man. It's the
dumpster fire of a
Jets.
team.
Okay.
I hope
All
they get the
right.
number one draft pick and don't draft a quarterback because Aaron Rodgers says no. That would be the best. It's like, no, I'm still here, guys. I can't do that. Next subject. Okay, talking quarterbacks. Obviously, there's people losing jobs. Bears offensive coordinator's gone. I think his staff's going to be gone, obviously, because the Bears suck and have poured a ton of money into it. So I picked out 3 potential jobs, and if you were a head coach, I want to know which ones you would pick. The first one is Caleb and the Bears with a stacked roster. Don't know what Caleb is yet. Second one is Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. He doesn't seem like he's the guy that people thought he was going to be at Clemson. Maybe he's just had the wrong coaching. I don't know. Not a great roster. And then you have to go to England all the time. And then the third one is, and this could actually be the Raiders. So this could be, Deacon Hill could be talking about your job. So the team that drafts number 1, and I'm assuming it's going to have to be either Shadeur or Cam Ward going number 1. I personally would pick Shadeur, but out of those 3 spots, if you are going to be I'm assuming probably going to be a first-time head coach, which spot is the most appealing to you and why? Deacon Hill, I'm going to start with you.
I would have to say I would take the team that's coming in and drafting a new quarterback. I wouldn't go with I wouldn't because first of all the Bears are there. They're not far from being in last place, and Carolina is not far from being. So the teams are not good anyway. So why would I want to go to a team that's got baggage? You're gonna have to go with if you go to Caleb, you're gonna have to try to correct that. They say he's trying to hold on to the ball too long. So he's already got some stuff you got to try to work out with. And then in Carolina, again, they got baggage there. So I'd like to get a clean slate, come in with a fresh quarterback that I can groom in my way without trying to correct some bad habits that they already have. And the roster, like I said, they're not. That's why they're firing people and things like that because the team and the organization is not that good right now. So I would rather go with the new start, new quarterback. And I agree with you. Shakur, I would think would be the number 1. I was looking at. They were saying, he's more pro ready right now. He plays in a pro style offense, and he's bigger. He's 6'2". The other guy I think is like 5'11". So I would go that route with the quarterback and a new slate.
So you like the idea of kind of like more rebuilding a team than coming in with the expectations being like way up here.
Yeah, well, their expectations ain't going to be that high, I don't think, because the team's are already not doing well.
No,
But
I mean for the Bears, just because the roster is on paper, the roster is stacked. It's performing. I mean, it's like the Jets. On paper, it's stacked. It's performing horribly.
It's just like a commentator I heard today say, but it's the Jets. They always lose. It's the Bears. They always lose. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true. All right, brother Bill, which Jacksonville, Chicago, or wherever Shadeur or Cam Board goes?
Yeah, I think I've always looked at the division that I'm going to be in to see what it takes to eventually try to get into the playoffs. If you have championship aspirations, it starts with just trying to get into the playoffs. That kind of rules out to me the Bears because they would be going to the Bears. That's the NFC North is no joke. All three teams, you got Detroit, you got Green Bay, and Minnesota. So the Bears, you could be in last place in that division for a while. Now things can change year to year, but I think that's of the three. I think that's the most competitive division. So that rules out the Bears for the same reasons that Deacon Greg already mentioned, Caleb Williams, right? Jacksonville, that's a two-horse race between really the Houston Texans and whichever team can show something, but neither Tennessee nor Indianapolis have. So Jacksonville, you would think might be appealing, but then you got to figure out that means you got to replace Trevor Lawrence at some point. So I don't know
Or
about
not
that.
because they just paid him $200 million.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So that leaves the number one draft, pick, whatever team, drafts Shadeur Sanders. So I think I'm with Deacon Gray. Go with whatever that team is, especially at a time where this is a quarterback-driven league. In the past, I would say don't hang all your hopes on a quarterback, but you have to have a good quarterback. And so you start there and then see what you can do with the other, skill positions, what you do in the draft and free agency down the road.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to like betting stuff, but I would bet it's kind of looking like the Giants might be getting that number one pick because they looked really, really bad on on Sunday. And Malik Neighbors and Shador Sanders, that's a pretty good combination to start with. As long as you bring in a good coach. And I'm assuming that will be 100% be a new coach in there also. Because the
You don't
Giants are,
think the coach is gonna make it?
I
What's his
don't
name?
I don't think so.
Even though he made the playoffs, was it last year?
I think he's gonna be an offensive coordinator someplace.
Hmm.
Or he's just I mean, granted, the owner or the GM, somebody paid Daniel Jones $40 million a year. So
Yeah,
whoever that is needs to be
that's the owner.
on the moon because that was terrible. And then they go, oh yeah, well, we don't really need a running back since we have this. So we're going to send the running back over to absolutely destroy everybody in our same division against one of our rivals. That's just
Saquon Barkley
the
goes to
whole
your
thing is
division
just it's
rival.
oh my God. I would throw up if I was a Giants fan.
Yeah, that's not supposed to happen in football.
No, you don't do
not the
that.
same division.
You don't do that. Um, so it wasn't something that we had brought up earlier. One thing I cannot figure out, and I think we talk about the Cowboys every week. I can't figure out how they got so bad so fast. Because as much as I dislike the Cowboys and love that they would tank in the playoffs and lose the first round or second round, they were still a solid team and pretty well coached this whole way through. Like, was Dan Quinn the actual glue that held everything together? Because I don't understand. And they at the end of the trading period, they send a fourth round pick to a guy who's caught like one pass in Carolina, and they send a fourth round draft pick for that. Like I cannot wrap my head around how bad the Cowboys are, just like that, because they've been great in the regular season, and then suck in the playoffs, which is great for me because I get to see all the hopes build up for the whole season, and then they're gone like that as soon as the playoffs start. But they're a horrible team, and I can't. And that could just be everything, but I don't understand how they're so bad.
Well, I know the why. Yeah, the how is tough. The why is because one, they don't run the ball, and number two,
Can't.
their defense. It's not that the defense is bad. It's not as strong as it was last year. And you can't talk about Micah Parsons being that. Every team has guys out. That's just the nature of football. So no one's going to feel sorry for you when your best player is out on either side of the ball. But I hate to say it, but Mike, if they keep losing, I'd be surprised if Jerry Jones doesn't fire Mike McCarthy
Yeah,
because
I can't see.
he's already put it out there. I mean, he's already commented, he's already thrown him under the bus 2 weeks ago talking about the play calling, and so Dallas they're not going to make the playoffs. It's a matter of how bad a season they have. If they finish below 500, I just can't see Mr. Jones bringing McCarthy back.
But I can't see who would want that job. That's a
Yeah,
terrible job.
yeah, but how did they get that bad? They didn't do anything to improve their roster. They didn't.
That's
They
true.
couldn't stop the run last year. You know, they're like a front running team. If they can get ahead and they force the other team to pass the ball, they play good defense. But when they're playing from behind and the other team is running the ball, they don't have enough beef on the defensive line to stop anything. And then the roster they spend all the money on Dak
CD
and
Lamb. Yeah.
the receiver, between those two guys, and then they don't have a number two threat as a receiver. And Dallas always had a really good tight end. Who is the tight end? I don't even know who the tight end is. And then you know they're in bad shape when they have to bring back Ezekiel Elliott as your running back. So you don't have the roster. That's the how. So
Okay.
There was some, and I think I remember this correctly, but the cap hit next year for CD and Dak alone is 46% of the cap.
it is, yeah,
46, half of your money is going to two dudes.
exactly.
That's that's
So how do you get better?
oh, you don't. And how do you get a coach?
Well,
I think McCarthy's going to stay because how do you get a coach if that's your situation? That's horrific.
when you get better by this is where coaching shows up in the offseason. You got to develop the players that you got. I mean, this is you. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying if you know you're not going to be able to go out and get talent, then you got to improve the talent that you've got.
If you don't have that's the problem though. You can't just make talent when you don't have talent. There's a reason why they don't like I just told you they can't stop the run. So what are you going to do? How are you going to these guys are going to be developed into run stoppers? That's
But
not the
that's
style. That's why they draft style the type of players that you need. You go out and get them. You don't if you don't have them,
but
they
that's
don't
the other
have them.
thing. But that's the other thing is Dallas had been drafting pretty well. And it's like they didn't even do that well this year. It's like somebody left, somebody important left, and they were like a piece there. It's like Jenga. Like they were the piece that like you didn't really see, but I mean just everything sucks this year for
Well,
them.
like they said, that Jerry Jones used to go out and make moves to improve his roster way back in the day when he went and got Deion Sanders and players like that when they were going to make a run. What he said, I'm all in this year, and he didn't do anything. So that's your problem. All these other teams, like I said, they're going out and get a Saquon Barkley and getting all these guys to improve your roster because you're going to try to make a run. Dallas stayed pat they spent all their money in the quarterback and the receiver, and then they went and tried to recycle some players and didn't do anything. So there you have it.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, Leslie.
sorry, yeah, sorry. It's great. I mean, I love it, but it's like usually I like this kind of a failure in January. It feels I like
But
it.
that's all right. You guys ain't gonna be far from behind. Don't worry about it, Leslie. They ain't going nowhere either.
Hey,
Keep hope alive every week.
just
Next
wait,
week, we'll
just
have the
wait.
same conversation
You got
next
it.
week.
All right, last subject. So since the end of last year, I've seen the trajectory of FSU and the trajectory of Deion Sanders as a head coach go in absolutely polar opposite directions. And I am seeing a scenario where, actually, I'm not seeing any scenario where Deion is not the head coach of FSU next year. He's going to lose his best players to the draft and his kid to the draft in the offseason. FSU is absolute horse poop since they didn't get in because their quarterback got hurt and they didn't get into the 14 playoff. I don't see how it doesn't happen. Brother Bill, I'm going to start with you. Do you see something different going on there?
I think it's for the thing about someone, my opinion of Deion Sanders' personality is I'm going to prove the naysayers wrong. And the question will be whether or not he thinks he have a better chance of doing that with Colorado, with whatever players he can get, or at FSU in a division, in a conference that's not that easy. See, both conferences, I mean, they're going up against teams that are just better than them. And so I don't know, but I would, to answer your question, I won't be surprised if he goes to FSU, nor would I be surprised if he stays at Colorado. FSU might make sense, but it's a question of whether or not he thinks that he can be mostly turn around that team sooner than he can turn around Colorado when he loses a lot of key players to the draft.
Deacon Hill.
See, I'm looking at it a whole different direction. I'm thinking that he's past SFU. He's done with that. You know, they didn't give him the shot when he won. Like you said, his stock is rising so high. He might get a shot in the NFL. He might get a shot, and I've heard just some rumors about Dallas that he might get to Dallas. But and they were talking about the conflicts of that Jerry Jones always wants to be the big boss or whatever. But they were saying how Deion is able to have the cachet in the locker room and be able to just ignore Jerry Jones over there. But really, I think that he might get a shot in the NFL somewhere. It might not be Dallas, but if I was him, I'd be looking higher than going to either Colorado and if I had a choice, I would stay in Colorado. But I'd be looking higher than that. I wouldn't be trying to go back to SFU or SFA, back to Florida State or I think NFL he might have a shot somewhere.
Has he talked about wanting to be? Because I had always heard that he liked the younger guys. Like he didn't want to
At
go
a point,
pro.
he tried to get a job before in the NFL a couple years
Okay.
ago, and
Okay.
but he didn't have a shot at all because he didn't have no kind of resume, so he wasn't going to get no shot back then. And I'm telling you, he's really surprising me as a coach because I didn't think that he was, I didn't think he was a coach material really, but he seems to have something going. He's putting a staff together and been able to win games, so somebody might give him a shot.
Yeah, I was
My
pretty
Raiders
down on
might
him.
even give him a shot. Let me see what my Raiders doing.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Uh,
But yeah, well, that's the
we'll
thing
take
is
him and his son.
if you get that's the thing is if you hire him, you're probably hiring him and drafting his kid, which is
Did you
that's
see? Hey,
not
did you
terrible.
see Shakur give a shout out to the Raiders a couple weeks ago?
He's going, keep losing, guys. I'll see you soon.
Is that what he said?
No, no.
Oh,
He gave a shout out to the Raiders a couple weeks ago.
oh.
I don't know what you would give a shout out to the Raiders about, but
He didn't give one out to the Niners. I know that.
that's fine, man. We got Brock.
Was it shout? Was it shout? Is anybody home? Is that the point?
Yeah. You guys know you had a game today? Yeah, I could yeah, Deion, I will say I was so down on Deion at the end of last year and the stuff that kind of came out in the offseason. And then they started the year not great, but they're when I'm looking at the scores in the first half and they're only down like 10 points or down, I'm like, they're gonna win that game because they're making adjustments where they're shutting teams down in the second half, and then the offense just keeps doing what the offense does. And I mean, they're not playing like world beaters, but they're traveling. Their travel schedule is pretty tough. I know the Huskies. I pay attention to them just because my brother-in-law is a huge Huskies fan. They don't travel well at all. They're terrible on the road. And Colorado's going on the road and winning games and holding teams to like nothing in the second half. It's impressive.
Yeah, they got Utah. They got Utah this week.
Utah.
So we'll see.
Well, Colorado 7-2. I mean, they win 2 of the next 3. They're in the playoffs. So
Yeah, Utah got screwed last week playing BYU. They had that. The refs were like a little. It's kind of like the end of the Niners game with Tampa. It's like, could we call every single penalty at the end of the game? I'm screaming at the TV, like, what? How? Every single face to the face mask. This. It's like, oh my god, you guys, we're calling everything right now. I've
You guys were
watched.
doing it. What are you talking about calling? It was so
Yeah,
obvious.
but
too.
I've also watched 2 weeks in a row on primetime games, quarterbacks getting their heads cut off, and the refs don't see anything at the end of the game. Joe Burrow was getting his face mask pulled. He was getting everything.
yeah,
Nothing.
the
They were calling
Bengals got
nothing.
messed over bad in that game. It was with the Ravens.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Minnesota game where Sam Darnold gets his head turned around in the end zone. Bro. And then Brock, they touch his helmet. They go, oh, illegal hands to the head. We got to get Baker Mayfield. It's like this is silly. I thought it was the Chiefs. I thought we were playing the Chiefs for a second there.
Well, you guys get caused pretty much like the Chiefs, So you guys are right with the Chiefs with the referees on your side. So don't
Except when we play the Chiefs and Bosa's getting manhandled the entire game, getting held on the ground, and they don't call anything.
Bosa's offside 99% of the time.
Hey, he's just fast, man. He's not offsides. He's fast. Fast.
It's timing. It's timing.
White lightning. He's white lightning.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that is it for us this week. Who the Raiders have this week?
Miami.
You mean who has the Raiders?
I don't know. I can't believe Miami won.
Has the Niners.
We got Seattle at home.
We got Geno. We're fine.
Geno's
Miami,
good.
y'all should beat Miami because it's something about. I mean, to me, just watching that game last night, the Dolphins did. I don't. their defense played better than I expected them to, so I'll
Yeah.
give them that. But it just seems like with all the offensive firepower, it just shouldn't have been a struggle offensively. They've got the
Do they
running
have a
back.
running? I don't notice their running game. Do they have a running game? It seems like they
They
want to
do. I mean,
pass
they
all the.
got Mostert, they got Etienne, but it just seems like, if Tua doesn't have a great game, that they have no shot. I'm like, I don't know. Mike McDonald, it just seems like, to me, it seems like they should run the ball more.
And I tell you what they do have though is that with Tua and Tyreek though, and when they do that little crossing route pattern, that's a hard pattern to
Yeah.
contain. So they can
Yeah.
always go fall back on that to get when they need some yards. So that's
Yeah,
hard.
it works against every defense.
Yeah,
You're not catching them.
I'm just glad they beat the Rams.
Yeah,
I know you are.
surprised. I was surprised the Rams offense did not do better. Everybody's back. I started Stafford in one of my leagues, and it just completely backfired.
Well,
I
yeah.
thought for sure they would get him because Dolphins defense sucks. Why was it? How was it good all of a sudden in LA? That doesn't even make sense. I'm telling you, him and Kyle. There's something with the way McVay coaches that Kyle and Kyle's people just. I don't get it. I like it, but I don't get it.
On to Sunday.
All right, you guys. Good luck against the Dolphins. I'm not worried about Seattle. So
Okay, Gino is due. He's every now and then he has a flashback. One of those games. So
Gino is doo doo.